People in Yazoo City, Mississippi, didn't talk about the woman who lived deep in the swamp, not unless they had to. Folks said she lived alone, in a crooked wooden shack tangled in moss and vines, with jars of strange things hanging from her porch. She had no family. No visitors. No name anyone was sure of. Some called her the Swamp Woman. Others just said, that witch. Children were warned not to wander too close to the waterline, especially after sunset. They whispered about her feeding snakes by hand and speaking to shadows. And when a young boy disappeared in 1884 while fishing near her shack, the town turned from scared to furious. A mob of men stormed the swamp. They found the boy's torn shirt in her yard. They dragged her out and accused her of luring him into the water. No one listened to her screams. She cursed them all, struggling against the ropes they tied around her wrists. She was thrown into the small wooden jail on Main Street, set to hang the next morning. That night, a terrible storm rolled in. Thunder cracked across the sky. And as lightning flashed over the jailhouse, she screamed one last curse that froze the blood of every guard in earshot. "You will burn," she howled. "Every last one of you. I'll return from the grave, and this town will burn to ash, on the morning of May 25th, 20 years from today." The next morning, she was found dead in her cell, slumped in the corner. Some say she hung herself with her own hair. Others said they saw a black shadow slip into the cell before dawn. She was buried quickly at the Glenwood Cemetery, far from the main path, under a crooked headstone. Chains were wrapped around her grave, bolted tight, to keep her spirit in. But Yazoo moved on. At least, they thought they did. Years passed. The story of the swamp which faded into gossip and ghost stories. The town prospered. Railroads came, and new homes popped up along Jefferson and Broadway. A post office opened. Families grew. Churches filled on Sundays. And by the early 1900s, Yazoo City had become one of the prettiest little towns in Mississippi. No one remembered the date. Not really. Not until strange things started happening. In early May of 1904, shopkeepers found their locks rusted shut every morning. A fisherman vanished near the swamp, and they found his boots sitting neatly on the water's edge. At the church, a painting of the Virgin Mary mysteriously blackened overnight, her face scorched as if by fire. Then on May 24th, the cemetery caretaker, an old man named Carl Jensen, found something that made him drop his lantern and run. The chains on the witch's grave had snapped. Not rusted. Not worn. Broken clean through, as if ripped by some great force. The soil around the headstone was disturbed. The air around it felt wrong. He tried to tell people, but most brushed him off as drunk. Others got nervous. A few older residents remembered the story. One even checked an old court record and confirmed it. The next day was May 25th. And no one was ready. It started just before noon. Smoke rose from the western edge of town. At first, it seemed like a small chimney fire. But within minutes, flames leapt from building to building like they were being pushed by invisible hands. The fire roared through Main Street like it had a purpose. The general store, the bakery, the courthouse, all gone within the hour. People ran into the streets, buckets in hand, trying to fight back the flames. But the water pumps had stopped working. Hoses ruptured. Wind spun in circles, changing direction as if something unnatural was guiding it. The fire brigade captain, Thomas Bell, swore he saw something move inside the smoke. A figure. A woman. Standing in the center of the street with her arms raised, laughing as flames danced around her. He later told his wife, she wasn't on fire. She was the fire. By evening, more than 200 buildings had been destroyed. A third of Yazoo City was reduced to ash. Churches. Schools. Homes. Everything. And somehow, no other nearby towns were touched. The fire had stopped exactly at the border of the city, like whatever power had lit it only wanted Yazoo to burn. And the date? May 25, 1904. Exactly 20 years after her death. In the weeks that followed, newspapers called it the Great Yazoo Fire. Officials blamed faulty wiring. Others said it was spontaneous combustion, dry weather, bad luck. But no one had an answer for the broken chains at the cemetery. Or the survivor testimonies that claimed they saw a woman dancing in the smoke. The city rebuilt, slowly. But Glenwood Cemetery became a place of quiet fear. Tourists still visit the witch's grave, though the chains have long since disappeared. Some say they were stolen. Others say they were never real to begin with. But older families in Yazoo still tell the story to their children. They say if you go to her grave on the night of May 24th and place a lit match near the headstone, the flame will flicker backward. Against the wind. Some say the witch is still out there, not gone, just waiting. Waiting for the next promise to keep.